Hello, great ones. Welcome to the Live and Be Great podcast. I'm your host, Latanya Sampson McDonald. I am a life coach and a registered marriage and family therapist associate. And this podcast was created to motivate, educate, and inspire all to live and be great. On today's episode, I wanted to be vulnerable. Not like I'm not vulnerable usually, but I wanted to be vulnerable and talk about the importance of being able to admit when you don't got this. You already know what I mean by that. And if you don't, the saying is usually when you're trying to motivate a friend or somebody, or even yourself, you say, "Oh, I got this," to kind of like, I would say, shovel yourself through the frustrations when you're feeling down. Uh, it's just the go-to. I got this for a lot of people. But man, like I can't be a therapist and a life coach and tell you guys to create boundaries for yourself and to heal if I don't do that myself. And I do. Prime example, this podcast. Oh my goodness. Whose bright idea was it to start a podcast during the worst year since my existence? Oh my goodness. I promise you guys. Yes, the intention was to make sure that the podcasts were bi-weekly. I even had a dream to, like, if it was going well, make it weekly. But life still happens. Even though I'm a therapist and a life coach, I still go through things because I'm a human being. And anytime there was a gap when 2 weeks turned into 3 weeks and 4 weeks, please believe I was going through something. But I was indeed practicing what I preach by allowing myself to create a boundary and heal, recover, do whatever I need to do for myself so that I can give you this content that is educational, healing, supportive, and motivational. And I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast before, but when I had my talk show, which had, I want to say, up to 320,000 viewers at the time, it was, you can see me, it wasn't a podcast. But that put a lot of pressure on me. And I can't remember if I've told you guys this story before, but it put a lot of pressure on me because, I like to look perfect. Um, I like to be tech savvy. I had my green screen up, different backgrounds, did my makeup, and it's not a regular, everyday makeup. Like I did that makeup, okay? Tried to pick out a different top. I had video clips, all sorts of things. And the show went from 1 hour to 2 hours. So after a while, I was, doing that show while I was in school getting my master's in psychology. It became draining and I got tired of, well, it was Mondays and Fridays. So it was twice a week, 2 hours. I got tired of putting on a show, doing my best to motivate people, inspire people, but yet I was struggling and going through my own stuff in my own life. So I got tired of doing that. And it was right around the cusp where it was time to graduate and things of that nature. So I had to put a stop to it and really like collect myself and get life together and get back on track. So my profession hasn't changed. Things have gotten a bit easier, but it's still a stressful job. It's very rewarding, but sometimes I do need that break. So, me starting back up the podcast was to take off some of the pressure, which it did. I love being here without the camera, without having to worry about which makeup look and which outfit, and did I wear that outfit last week or whatever the case may be. I love not having to do that. But something that I want to say, hmm, something that I try to like keep as kind of like the motto of this journey that might be a tad bit different than other motivational, inspirational platforms is that I am going through it with you guys. I'm being a human being, and it's not about me being a millionaire and being on TV and, having tons of accomplishments and then coming back and trying to inspire you and motivate you. No, I am giving you the tools that I am currently using that work. I'm stopping things that don't work anymore, and you are in the journey with me. Okay, very transparent, open book. That is my style, and I stand by it. So, back to the topic of hand. When it comes to being able to say you don't got this, right? When I started the podcast, the editing would be so intricate. Like, for instance, I say like a lot. I say I breathe. You might, hear when I actually smile. All those things used to annoy me when I first started the podcast, and sometimes I giggle. That's just my personality, and it may not fit. But I would go in and edit it and cut all that stuff out. If you could listen to the first two podcasts up till now, me just pressing record and going without all that editing is the boundary I had to put up for myself, right? What will make this more stressful for me? What can I let go of that I don't need to hold on to and still give people a good show that's from the heart, that's from the heart and authentic without putting extra pressure on me during a time that everybody is feeling the weight of the world when it comes to this darn coronavirus, racism, injustices, all sorts, losing, you know, certain staples we had in our lives as far as celebrities, people losing family members. I myself has lost family members. Oh, it's just a year of tragedy. So I had to think like, how can I still do this, be that inspiration for people and stay motivated to do this podcast? So I started to put up these boundaries. I started sharing, previous shows that I did whenever the week was rough. And sometimes, yes, I would skip a week, right? But listen, like I said before, I'm not going to tell you to do something, ask you to do anything that I am not willing to do myself. I'm just not. I'm not about that life. um, and that's just been my gift. That's just who I am, to be honest. The boundaries thing is very new though. Very, very new, and I didn't really catch on and get the hang of it until probably after I first got into the field and was working for like a year and things of that nature. When your body like literally stops you when you pass out, when you have panic attacks and whatever the case may be, you get sick. Listen, you either sit down or get sat down. Okay. Um, Another habit I used to have that I am working through, I've gotten better at is usually when I went through something, because remember I had a whole show when I was going through something, I wasn't even reaching out to people. Or when I did reach out to people for support, it was after I've already been through the trial or the tribulation, right? Um, and that wasn't good for me. It just wasn't. I mean, I was in therapy, I want to say the last year, but the majority of the last year of my master's program, we were required to be in therapy while we were finally being put in the field. Um, that was difficult for me to do, but I needed it, you know? Um, and it's not easy, especially if you've been doing that your whole life, holding stuff in, not really addressing your emotions. And for some of us, especially me being a Black woman, like I get the tiniest bit emotional, somebody feels like their life is in danger. Like that's been a survival thing for me. Not really feeling free to express myself and putting other people's needs before mine and not wanting to make the room uncomfortable. Like I really got tested my last year during my master's program, and I was all in. I was all in, and I had to really, really live by, okay, if I'm going to get out here and ask my clients to do these things, set up boundaries and heal, I have to be willing to do the same thing. Not to say that I don't still struggle sometimes with, sometimes we feel like, oh, I don't want to be a burden. And, my friend or whoever probably has a lot going on too. So, I'll just get through it myself and I'll tell them about it later or never tell them. Like I'll tell them next week, a month from now, a whole year from now. I was fine with that. Okay. But like I said, you either sit down or get sat down. And I was getting sat down. Okay. I just was. I was going through it and I couldn't do that anymore. So it is very important. Okay. I can't stress that enough, that you are able to say you don't have it when you don't have it. Okay. I know a very difficult place to do that is when you are at work and you work for somebody and not your own boss. Okay. That is a journey that I'm trying to get to real quick. As soon as possible. I put in the universe is probably my last job, the last time I'm working for somebody, because listen, that is spent. Okay. And that's yet another thing that I cannot motivate people to do if I am not willing to do it for myself, knowing good and well this is what I need to happen in my life. Okay. But where was I going with that? See, where was I going? Boundary. I'm not editing this. I'm not editing this out. Tongue ties, pauses, and everything. That's my boundary. Y'all gonna get this authentic episode. Okay. Um. Oh, the hardest place to do this is definitely in the workplace. Okay. It is important. I'd rather tell my boss what happened. And I had to do this today. I'd rather tell my supervisor or whoever what happened versus blowing up on everybody or blowing up on, somebody who didn't deserve it or taking things too far, coming home, being angry, or, neglecting myself. Like, this is the year, like, make this year the year of no. Okay. Like, when 2-year-olds learn that word and then they just say no to everything. You might have to go through that phase, but I promise you, if you allow yourself to just start saying no and setting up those boundaries, it will be so rewarding and you will be able to recover much faster than if you were to just hold it all in and continue this cycle of holding it in, not talking to anybody, not looking for support, and blowing up. Okay? It's not worth it. It isn't. And it definitely affects your mental health. It makes you feel lonely. It makes you feel like nobody understands you, but you can't really blame anybody for that. You can't even make those stories, those lies you tell yourself true if you are not willing to reach out for support. Okay? Wherever you can get it. It is important. It is so important. It is. Okay? And I'm telling you this because today I did not have this. Okay. Today was a really, really sucky day for me, but I allowed myself to voice my opinions at the end of the day. I forgave myself for falling apart. Okay. And with this podcast, with this episode, I am recovering. I just am, gave myself a facial, cried about it, yelled about it, joked about it, whatever I needed to do. And I did not just hold it in and suppress it and then build up, let it build up and destroy me. You can't do that. And I know it's easier said than done. Some people, it feels like it's just easier just to hold it in, but it's really not, because it has to go someplace. It does. And it will seep out. Okay. I almost lost my wallet today. And luckily, it's very lucky that, we have some good Samaritans out there. Okay. I was able to go back to the store and find my wallet, and I was very happy about that. Okay. Um, you know, I called my husband, I reached out to my husband, and in the midst of him like boosting me up and trying to, repeat some of the same things I told him when I'm trying to motivate him and he feels down and things of that nature, we kind of will remind each other of what each other said, because that's what you do. Sometimes it's just easier to help other people. But, when you're in a marriage, you return the favor. And we do a good job at that. And I love that about him. But after, he was trying to motivate me and stuff, I was like, oh, shoot, I think I left my wallet at the store. And he was like, babe. But I was like, listen, I cannot take the lecture right now because this gonna stress me out, give me more anxiety. So I'm gonna get off the phone and go look for my wallet. He was like, okay. Boundary right there. Okay. Because I think we all do that. We all, like, if somebody does something makes a mistake, a lot of times we do go straight into, okay, how can we stop you from making the mistake again? A lot of us do, to protect that person, because you don't want them feeling that way. You feel bad, right? But some of us, depending on where we're at mentally at the moment in the present, can't take that. Right? So you can go ahead, give yourself permission to set up yet another boundary. Okay. Yes, I know I probably shouldn't have had it in my hand. Boom, I already know that. Don't need nobody to tell me that. Whatever the case may be, that's not what I'm asking for. But if listen, that's what's coming, it's okay for you to like, okay, boom, I know this person has my best interest at heart, but right now, I know myself, that's just gonna make me more anxious or more upset. So I'm gonna get off the phone and do what I gotta do, right? And that's definitely not holding stuff in. That's like, okay, what works for me when I'm stressed out and I'm in panic mode, right? You kind of really have to be self-aware. And the only way you get to that self-awareness if you allow those feelings to come and then you're able to recover. If you're still holding them in, there's no way you're going to be self-aware of what you need as far as boundaries in order for you to recover. There's no way. So I want anybody that's listening, if you have a bad habit, okay, of selling yourself short, if you have a bad habit of holding things in, and not like reaching out to your support, listen, I always tell people, I want you to be able to sustain everything you fighting for in this world. Okay? You will not be able to without boundaries and healing. You just won't. It's not going to happen. I promise you. It's not going to happen. Right? If you allow yourself to just drown in despair. Right? And to be honest, listen, when it comes to the thoughts we have when things aren't going so well, I still do the thing that most humans do, which is this one thing not going well. So you start to grab everything that done went wrong that week, that month, that year. Some of us go back like 5 years ago. Some of us are really bad with it. You know who you are if you're listening to this. You know who you are. Okay. I still do it, and I you kind of got to get really, really skilled at when you can't redirect your own mind. What can you do to put yourself back in a positive state so you can change your day around? Whether it's I'm a vent to somebody, whether it's I'm going to put on some music, I'm going to, I mean, it's not necessarily right to say I'm going to eat something because then we're going to have the health police. Because some people, you may overindulge and you know who you are. So that might not be the best thing for you to do unless it's a healthy snack that is really good for you and things of that nature. I'm not a nutritionist, so don't quote me on that, but yes, I have some hard days where I'm like, I'm gonna get me some frozen yogurt. Today is one of those days. Whatever you need to do without any judgment on yourself that you won't feel guilty about, do it. Okay. And there are certain things that you shouldn't feel guilty about. Like if you have friends, especially if you claim to have a best friend, a crew, or whatever the case may be, oh, that's like my brother, that's like my sister, you should be able to call these people. When you're struggling, you should, when you need a pick me up, you should be able to, or else what is their purpose? Okay. What is the purpose of them being there? Yes, everybody be going through their own trials and tribulations, but sometimes, listen, I'll be honest, sometimes I do like listening to other people's stuff that's going through, well, I'm a therapist, but I'm talking about when I'm off the clock. Sometimes I do want to hear what's going on in my friend's life so I could be of support and kind of get my mind off of whatever I got going on. Like sometimes I need a little break. Ooh, like girl or my homeboys be like, hey, I could fix this problem. I done been through this. I could give you some good advice about this. Like, here you go. And that make me feel good, to be able to do something for somebody else. But you cannot pour from an empty cup. Okay. So if you're doing that for people, definitely allow yourself to open up and receive that support. Allow yourself to do that. You have to. you know? It's very helpful. It is. And even though today was rough, I'm proud of myself for, calling who I needed to call, venting to whoever I needed to vent to, setting up those boundaries and being able to recover to the point where, listen, I had a guest for this podcast and, things didn't work out because, hey, people got life. Life doesn't stop for nobody. Okay. And I was already having a rough day and I was like, you know what? Listen, I know exactly what to talk about. This, what I'm going through today, because it's important. And sometimes you forget, like, when you feel like giving up, when you feel like you failing, sometimes you forget why you started certain things in the first place. And that was always my thing when it came to the whole concept of living and being great. Okay, don't just live, be great at it. And whatever I can do to get you there, to inspire you to do that, I got you. But we're going to do it together. Okay. I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be transparent, and I'm not going to wait till I'm making millions and on television and whatever the case may be to inspire somebody, because everybody's story has value. Every last one of us, okay? Your pain is not always for you. Sometimes it's for somebody that you haven't even met yet, right? You can meet them tomorrow. It could be a stranger you meet 10 years from now. Somebody you will meet, and they will need to know that they can make it through their struggle because you got through yours. Then you'll understand why that pain was valuable and why it needed to happen and why you needed to push yourself to make it through for that next person that you're going to help. And that's just my thing, right? It's something I teach all my clients, young and old. Like, it ain't for nothing. It ain't all for nothing. Not, I mean, yeah, sometimes some of us do a little bit of unnecessary suffering, but somebody can argue that all suffering is necessary. From the why do I keep picking the same person to date? You can look at it as, well, you saw the red flags, or you can look at it as, man, maybe I didn't learn my lesson for the last 5 that I dated that was just like this. Okay. Maybe I need to work on myself because I am the common denominator. Yes, I've been through that. And a lot of us have. But you could look at it like that and say, hey, I didn't learn my lesson the first time, clearly. So instead of me saying, all men suck or all women suck or whatever the case may be, let me take a look at me. What am I putting out there? What have I not worked on yet? What makes me feel like I deserve this treatment, don't deserve this treatment, whatever it is? Where do I need to grow? That's how you can look at it as. I definitely plan on sharing more of my story on the next episode, which will be the finale. Okay. And I'm gonna do a little break, and then we're gonna go into season 2. I think 20 episodes is a good, like, first season, first podcast season, I should say, of Live and Be Great. And I definitely hope that you all have enjoyed it. But I'm trying to get back to me. That's where I'm at right now in my journey. Just in case you're wondering if we're gonna continue with this authenticity. That's where I'm at. I am trying to, sometimes you feel like when you grow, you have to become brand new, right? But sometimes when you go back and you look at your old self, be it old pictures, old videos, things you used to write, things you used to post, sometimes You know, it's mm. sometimes it's good to get back to the things that made you great, you know? The things that inspired you, the things that you were able to pull from that made you feel good about yourself that just came from you and were about you. It's okay to do that. So, yes, it is okay to pull from the past and use that as part of your arsenal. That's what I'm trying to I feel like that's the right word, but that's what I've been using for the kids, even though I know nothing about guns. But that's what I've been using. Like the things that make you feel good. It could be your crush you got your crush to talk to you in the fifth grade. Whatever. I don't I don't care if it's the smallest thing. I learned how to tie my shoe before any of my siblings did when they were my age. Like whatever it is, I graduated, I did this, I did that, I survived this. Whatever it is okay. And I feel like when you forget, it is okay to look for support and people who can remind you. And another thing about that is if you never open up, if your friends never know your struggles, they can't remind you of what you've been through and that this new obstacle that you have to face, they got to be able to pull from something too when you forget. It is okay, and that is what I'm working on now. Like I do have a strong support system. I It's amazing, right? A lot of them have been through it with me for the years, and I have even opened myself up to new people in my life. That's okay too. Some of us feel like, oh, if I haven't known you since kindergarten or whatever the case may be, I meet you in college, I meet you in high school or whatever it is, then we can't be friends. No, allow yourself to make new friends. All right. They will come in handy. And sometimes people are only there to get you through that particular stage in life, and we move on, and sometimes we need other people to help us with our new stage in life and where we're going. Like I like to say, okay, when it comes to the people I'm not friends with, people I had to cut off or we grew distant, sometimes I feel like, actually I'm not even gonna say sometimes, I feel like this is what I feel. Okay, let's be honest. I feel as though where God is taking me, that person can't be there. And on the other hand, where God is taking them with their success in their journey, neither can I. And I'm okay with that. That's how I cope with that. You grieve it, but then you allow yourself to open up, move on, and have that support to sustain whatever you're trying to build. Like we're a being that all living beings need others. Like there's no, you need some type of support, right? Something to keep going. You do. Every living thing does. So why not use it? Why feel like you have to go through things alone? Why have such mistrust for people? Why have this overwhelming feeling that you're going to be a burden to somebody when you call this person your friend, your family, or whatever the case may be? Why? What is the purpose? It is okay to admit that you don't got this, okay? And that makes me proud. It does. It really makes me proud when I'd rather hear somebody say, when I ask, how are you doing? I'd rather hear them say, I'm doing. I'll take that. Even if you can't give me the whole I'm not doing too well when you trying to tell me the truth, I'd rather you say I'm doing than tell me you're fine and you're not fine. I'm not doing that anymore unless I'm really fine. Okay. No, I do understand that. Okay. If it's somebody that you don't really care about, you just say I'm fine just to get them off your back. But don't let that be the response that you get to somebody that you know is there to support you. Okay? Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Like, it's been a rough year. It has been a rough year. 2020, oh my gosh. Like we were all feeling it. Like at some point, we were all forced to feel it. Okay? The heat, everybody, right? So, and let's not continue to go into life after if you survived, okay? If you still here, you still have a chance to get it right and to go after whatever your purpose is in this life. You do not have to go it alone, okay? Set up those boundaries, take those breaks, allow yourself to have the support that you need from whoever you love. Okay? Do it. Do it. It's difficult. Yes. But it's not impossible. Even I, the one who has a therapist, the one who is a therapist, who helps people with their problems all day, I need some place, okay, to take my cape off and lay my burdens down. I will keep my wonderful therapist as long as I can keep her, okay, because she's awesome. And if I'm going to do this, I need my support. And I'm okay with that. Like I said, I'm not about to ask any of my clients to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself. Okay? Okay. So hopefully I got my point across. I definitely apologize for the gaps in the podcast, but y'all already know what it is. Like 2020. That's all I have to say. 2020. I think you guys understand what that is about. And those boundaries. Set those boundaries. When you're about to crack, okay? Listen, take care of yourself because the world gonna go on with or without you. So you might as well treat yourself right. Treat yourself good so you can obtain that greatness and be actually able to enjoy it. You don't want to get to the point where you worked yourself to the bone and neglected yourself and can't even like reap the benefits, okay, of your work. You don't want to do that. So how you sustain it is we have to take care of yourself entirely and get that support that you need. All right, I think I've talked enough. Um, I vented enough at 11:31 p.m. PST on a Thursday. um, I hope you guys have enjoyed this podcast. And yes, I will see you in 2 weeks. If I don't, y'all know what's up. Latanya is setting the boundary. Okay, that's it. Just pray for me and I'll be back. Okay? And give yourself permission to say you don't have it. The Live and Be Great podcast will be airing every other Friday. If you have truly enjoyed this podcast, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving Live and Be Great a chance. Please feel free to share, like, give a review, subscribe on whichever platform that you're listening to right now, on iTunes or Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, as well as Google Play. The Live and Be Great podcast is strictly crowdfunded, so if you are interested in becoming a supporter, you can click the link in the description, or you can go to liveandbegreat.com and scroll to the bottom and donate to the Live and Be Great podcast today, so I can continue to give you good and motivational content. Thank you all for listening, and don't forget to give yourself permission to live and be great.